My name is Amber Flores, and I was the same age I am now when I learned something people don't tell you about family. Sometimes they don't betray you loudly. Sometimes they do it laughing, with champagne glasses raised, while you're still on the line listening. I was standing alone in the center of a ballroom I had paid for. Above me, crystal chandeliers spilled warm light across linen-draped tables. Gold-rimmed place settings were aligned with obsessive precision. A polished dance floor stretched across the room, installed after 2 weeks of permit negotiations and back-and-forth calls with the city. Every detail had been my responsibility. Every dollar had come from my account. $46,000. I checked the number again on my phone, as if it might change if I looked at it long enough. It didn't. My mother's voice cut through the speaker, sharp and practiced. "Amber, listen to me." "I am listening," I said, confused. "What's wrong?" She exhaled, already tired of the conversation she'd decided she'd won. "A celebration this grand doesn't suit someone like you." I laughed. Just once. Not because it was funny. Because my brain couldn't catch up fast enough. "What are you talking about? I planned this entire thing. I booked the venue. I paid the deposits. We didn't ask you to," she interrupted, like she was correcting a child who misunderstood her place. "That was your choice." My stomach tightened. "So, what does that mean?" There was a pause, a beat too long. "We're still holding the party," she said, "but it's better if you don't come. It's a family event." The word family landed like a door slamming shut. "I'm your daughter," I said quietly. Another pause. Then laughter. Not hers. My older sister Marisol didn't even bother lowering her voice. "I told you," she giggled. "She thinks she matters because she grows vegetables and rents a few fancy chairs." Someone snorted. Cutlery clinked. A cork popped. No one hung up. They laughed with me, still listening, like I was background noise. "You're a nobody in this family," Marisol added lightly. "Always have been." My hand went numb around my phone. Then it vibrated again. A notification. Marisol had gone live. The video showed her twirling barefoot across the ballroom floor, the one I'd paid to have reinforced so it could hold the band's equipment. She flipped the camera, smiling wide, drunk on attention. Caption: "When your sister thinks she's invited to the party she paid for with farm money. Who's in charge now?" The comments flooded in. "Wait, did she really pay for this? That's messed up. Why would you do that to your own sister?" I didn't reply. I didn't call back. I didn't scream. I smiled. Because something in me, something old and tired, finally went quiet. My boyfriend Daniel stood beside me, his jaw tight, hands curled into fists he didn't use. He leaned close and whispered, "They're going to regret this. We'll fix it." I typed one word back. Noted. Then I opened my laptop. The catering invoice loaded first. AT&T 500. I hovered over the payment confirmation. Just a second. Long enough to feel the weight of every holiday dinner I'd paid for, every bill I'd covered without being asked how I was doing. Then I clicked cancel. Refund pending. Cancellation immediate. Next, the live band contract. Clause 14B. Event contingent on final confirmation and day of coordination contact. That contact was me. I emailed the band leader one sentence. "Do not play. Contract revoked." I sat back in the chair, breathing evenly. Then, because I wanted something small, something personal, I opened the venue's backup power system. I'd paid extra for remote access in case of emergencies. I toggled it off. 10 minutes later, a screeching alarm cut through the ballroom. I hadn't even used the nuclear option yet. They thought I was just a farm girl. They always had. They forgot that farm girls learn early how systems work, where the switches are, which contracts matter, what breaks first when you pull support. I hadn't always had money. I didn't even have $400 for most of my 20s. I grew carrots, kale, corn, soy. I worked 18-hour days under a sun that burned and winters that cracked my skin raw. No investors, no safety net, just dirt under my nails and stubbornness in my bones. That farm paid for everything eventually. My truck, my tools, my business license. And when my parents' consulting work dried up, when my mother's back gave out, I paid their health insurance without saying a word. When the roof on their house caved in, I sent contractors and never billed them. My mother called once, not to say thank you, to ask if I could also replace the siding while the crew was there. When Marisol's twins needed daycare, I wired the deposit. When her son flunked a semester and lost his grant, I quietly paid tuition. Utilities, groceries, birthday gifts, every Christmas dinner, every summer barbecue. I bought the chairs, grilled the food, cleaned up after. Not once did anyone ask how the crops were doing. Not once did anyone ask how I was. Instead, I got lines like, "You're strong. This doesn't wear you down." If you don't help, the kids get nothing. You have money now. Prove your family. Funny how love always came with a receipt. Mine. My father hated that I owned land. Said it made me arrogant. Said I was playing grown-up because I bought dirt and put my name on it. He never visited the farm, not even when I was featured in a national agriculture magazine. Small-town nonsense, he said. My mother never argued. She just looked at me like, don't make this harder. And Marisol? She had a talent. She could take anything I did and rewrite it as her accomplishment. When I paid for the anniversary venue, she posted a tour with the caption, "Worked so hard to make this day perfect for our parents." No tag, no mention. But she cashed the check I sent her for planning support. I thought I was imagining it, until I wasn't. A cousin texted, "Hey, didn't you plan the whole thing?" Then another notification popped up. A public family post. Family is built on love, not ego. Tonight we celebrate together. A comment underneath read, "Who even is Amber anymore?" I stared at the screen, hands shaking. That was when I understood. This wasn't thoughtless. It was deliberate. And standing alone in that empty ballroom, listening to the alarm echo off the walls, I realized something else too. They hadn't just uninvited me. They'd underestimated me. I didn't sleep that night. Not because I was angry. Because something in me was finally awake. The alarm at the venue kept ringing long after I'd left. I could picture it. Guests shifting in their seats. Marisol pretending it was technical. My mother smoothing things over with that practiced smile she saved for public embarrassment. I didn't need to be there to know exactly how it went. I'd watched them rewrite reality my entire life. Back home, I sat at my kitchen table while the house stayed quiet around me. Daniel had fallen asleep on the couch, one arm hanging off the side, exhausted from holding himself together for my sake. I watched him for a moment, then turned back to my laptop. I wasn't crying. I wasn't shaking. I was organizing. The first thing I opened was my email. Search term, mom. Thousands of results. Requests dressed up as concern. Guilt wrapped in worry. Just this once. You're the only one who can help. Don't make this harder. Next folder, family. Bank transfers, screenshots, PDFs. I started dragging them into a new folder and naming them carefully. Roof repair, $9,200. Health insurance premiums, 18 months. Marisol daycare deposit. College tuition, emergency. Utilities, winter. It went on and on. I hadn't meant to keep receipts at first. I just never deleted anything. Somewhere along the way, a part of me must have known. I found a voicemail from my father dated 3 years ago. I hesitated before pressing play. His voice crackled through the speakers, tired and irritated. "Amber, listen, you're good with money. That's your role. Don't make this emotional. You help, or the kids suffer. That's on you." I closed my eyes. I remembered how I'd stood in the greenhouse that day, hands dirty, phone pressed to my ear while frost crept along the glass. I remembered saying, "Okay," without hesitation, because that's what I always did. Then I found something new. A shared folder. One Marisol had accidentally synced to an old family Dropbox account years ago, one she'd forgotten I still had access to. I clicked. Inside were subfolders labeled with dates and planning notes. One file caught my eye. 40th anniversary, final timeline, and M. My chest tightened as I opened it. Bullet points, edits, instructions. Rewrite narrative. Emphasize family effort. Remove Amber's name from public materials. Crop her out of planning photos in case she complains. If asked, say she volunteered then backed out. I stared at the screen. This wasn't impulse. This was choreography. Then I saw an email thread. From Marisol, to a college friend. Subject line, "Farm girl fell for it." I felt the breath leave my lungs as I read. Talk to Dad. He's fine cutting Amber out. Mom's pretending to feel bad, but honestly she's relieved. Amber dropped $46K like a puppy wagging her tail. We finessed this so clean and she's still not invited. I didn't scream. I didn't throw anything. I just sat there, staring at words that finally said the quiet part out loud. That email cracked something that had been splitting for years. I scrolled further. There were messages about me like I wasn't real. She won't say anything. She never does. She needs us more than we need her. That last one hurt the most, because once upon a time it had been true. I leaned back in my chair and laughed softly. Not because it was funny, because I finally understood the role they'd assigned me. Not daughter, not sister. ATM with dirt under her nails. I stood and walked into the office at the back of the house, the one I used mostly for bookkeeping. On the top shelf was a box labeled insurance, written in faded marker. Inside was an insurance. It was proof. Every transfer I'd ever made, copies of checks, email confirmations from my accountant asking why reimbursements never came back, audio recordings, like the one where my father joked to someone else. Amber's just a wallet with boots. I'd forgotten I'd saved that. At the bottom of the box was a video from 2 months earlier. Marisol, sitting in her car, smiling into the camera. "Can you book the band for Mom and Dad?" she'd said. "Just put it down as a gift from you. You're good at that stuff." I backed everything up. Encrypted drive, cloud storage, 2 physical copies. I wasn't planning revenge. I was preparing for truth. At 3:17 a.m., I opened my notes app and typed one sentence. "If this is war, I choose peace, with boundaries." Then I sent one message. "Family dinner, my place, Sunday, 6:00 p.m. Just talk." I didn't add emojis. I didn't explain. They replied within minutes. Of course they did. If my family loved anything more than control, it was curiosity. Sunday came fast. I didn't clean the house like I used to. No staging, no proving. I set a long wooden board across 2 sawhorses in the barn and called it a table. Real wood, uneven edges. Dinner was simple. Roasted vegetables from the field, herb chicken, handmade bread, apple pie from my neighbor's orchard. Candles flickered inside old jam jars, mason jars for glasses. Nothing fancy. Everything honest. They arrived together. My mother looked around first, evaluating. "This is nice," she said, which in her language meant better than expected from you. My father poured himself wine like he owned the place. Marisol smiled, tight and brittle, the smile she used in photos. "I'm glad we're talking again," she said. "I didn't say that," I replied calmly. The room went still. I stood up. No script. No speech. Just decades of weight finally settling into my spine. "I invited you here to end the story," I said. "The real one, not the version you posted." Marisol laughed nervously. "Oh my God, Amber." "Remember your line?" I interrupted. "Some people think money equals love." Her smile vanished. I reached under the table and pulled out a thick folder. "Receipts." I set it down, 1 page at a time. And for the first time in my life, I didn't explain myself. I just let the truth speak. The folder hit the table with a soft thud. Not dramatic, not loud. Just heavy. My father looked at it like it was something unpleasant someone else should deal with. My mother's fingers tightened around her glass. Marisol didn't look at the folder at all. She looked at me, eyes narrowed, trying to decide which version of me this was. The quiet one, the useful one, or the problem? I didn't sit back down. I stayed standing, palms resting on the rough wood of the table. "I'm not here to argue," I said. "I'm here to finish something." Marisol scoffed. "You're being dramatic." I flipped the folder open. First page, $3,800, March 11th, I read calmly. Venue deposit. Paid from my farm's business account after you told me you were a little short. My father rolled his eyes. "You think listing numbers makes you a hero?" "No," I said. "It makes me precise." I turned the page. $200, catering adjustment. Covered after Marisol said the florist went over budget. My mother shifted in her chair. "We never asked you to." "You never stopped me either," I replied. Next page. $9,200, roof repair, emergency. You said you'd pay me back. My father waved a hand. "Families don't keep score." I pressed a button on my phone. His voice filled the barn, scratchy and smug. "She's a farm girl with a wallet. She'll pay. She always does, as long as we pretend to care." Silence dropped like a curtain. My mother's face drained of color. Marisol finally looked at the folder. "That's taken out of context," she snapped. I nodded. "So is this." I slid the email across the table. Farm girl fell for it. She didn't pick it up. Didn't deny it either. "You went through my files?" she asked, voice sharp with accusation. "You left them open," I said evenly. "Just like you left me on the phone while you laughed." My mother reached for my hand. "Amber, sweetheart." I pulled away. "Don't," I said quietly. "You don't get to touch me now." My father stood abruptly. "This is payback." "No," I replied. "This is clarity." Marisol stood too. "You're humiliating us." I met her eyes. "You humiliated yourselves when you posted that video calling me farm money, when you erased my name, when you let strangers laugh at me while you drank champagne." She opened her mouth. I kept going. "I paid for a party I wasn't invited to. You told the world I wasn't wanted, and then you applauded." The barn door creaked. 3 slow knocks. Every head turned. I walked over and opened it. A man stepped inside, boots dusty, jacket slung over one shoulder. He smiled when he saw me. "Hey, Amber." Marisol blinked. "Wait, don't I know you?" He nodded. "Jason Clay, County Sons." My mother's mouth fell open. You're the band," Marisol stammered. "You didn't show up." Jason glanced at me. "We were ready, then Amber called it off." My father scoffed. So this was intentional. Yes, Jason said easily. We don't play for people who erase the ones who pay. He turned to me. Still want that set? I smiled for the first time that night. Harvest Festival, next summer. Jason grinned. All welcome? All, I said, then added softly, except family. He laughed, tipped an imaginary hat, and walked back out into the dark. The barn felt colder when the door closed. My father stared at me like he didn't recognize me. You think you're powerful now? I think I'm done, I said. I slid 3 envelopes onto the table. Legal documents. Utilities ending. Loans revoked. Access terminated. My mother picked one up with trembling hands. You can't just cut us off. I already did, I said. Marisol's voice cracked. We're family. No, I replied. We share blood. Family doesn't make you feel disposable. My father stepped toward me. After everything we've done for you. I laughed softly. List it. He stopped. I didn't come here to beg, I continued. I came to tell you something you should have learned years ago. I picked up my coffee, took a slow sip. You called me a farm girl like it was an insult. You were right. I grow things. I looked around the barn, the beams, the dirt floor, the food on the table. And now, I said quietly, I harvest. I walked past them. No shouting. No chasing. Just the sound of my boots on dirt as I stepped outside and let them sit in the silence they'd built for me. That night, I slept 13 hours straight. No alarms. No phone. Just quiet. In the morning, I walked the fields alone. The sun rose slow and gold over the rows I'd planted with my own hands. I wasn't thinking about who needed money. I was thinking about expansion. I slept 13 hours that night. No dreams, no alarms, no phone lighting up the dark. When I woke, the house felt different. Not emptier, just lighter. Like a room after someone finally opens a window that's been stuck for years. I didn't reach for my phone. I pulled on my boots and stepped outside. The fields were damp with morning dew, rows stretching clean and straight under the rising sun. The greenhouse glass glowed soft gold. Chickens clucked lazily, unaware that anything in the human world had shifted. That was the thing about peace. It didn't announce itself. It just arrived when the noise stopped. I expanded the greenhouse that week, sold 2 old tractors I'd been meaning to replace, and bought one better machine that did the work of 3. I repainted the sign at the front of the property, fresh white letters on reclaimed wood. Open to all. I didn't add a second line. I didn't need to. Word spread anyway. Not because I posted, not because I explained. Because people who lie talk loud when they're ignored. Marisol was the first to call. I watched the phone vibrate on the counter while I washed dirt from my hands. Let it ring until it stopped. She left a voicemail. Let's reset, she said, voice overly calm. You're still my sister. I saved it under a new contact name. Delusion MP3. No reply. My mother came next. She showed up at the gate with my favorite pie, wrapped carefully in foil like an offering. She didn't knock, just stood there waiting, the way she always had, expecting the door to open because it always used to. This is a family fight, she called out. You don't throw people away. I stayed on my side of the gate. You threw me away first, I said evenly. You posted it, hashtagged it, laughed over wine. She pressed the pie closer to the bars. I didn't know it hurt you like that. If you didn't know, I replied, you never saw me. And if you never saw me, you're not sorry to me. You're sorry you lost access. She stood there a long time. Eventually, she set the pie down in the dirt and left. By dusk, flies had found it. Then came the letter, from my father's lawyer. He was threatening to sue me for defamation, for playing his own recorded words. I laughed out loud when I read it. The same man who called me a wallet with boots now wanted his reputation protected. I forwarded the letter to my attorney. We could counter, he said. Emotional fraud, exploitation. I thought about it for a moment. Then I shook my head. No, I said. I don't want their money. I want their silence. And I got it. They stopped calling, stopped showing up, stopped trying. Even they knew nothing works once the puppet cuts her own strings. People started treating me differently, not because I demanded respect, because confidence without explanation unsettles people. The barista down the road slid a free pastry across the counter one morning and whispered, "They messed with the wrong one." I smiled and paid anyway. I didn't post my side, didn't upload receipts, didn't defend myself online. I just worked, fixed the barn roof, painted the porch, planted a new orchard on the south field. And on the barn door, I carved 3 words. We grow food. Underneath, in smaller letters. Not forgiveness. It wasn't for them. It was for me. A reminder that I owed no one anything I didn't choose to give. They made their table. They could starve at it. I used to think staying silent made me strong. But silence without boundaries is just self-erasure. I wasn't proud that I stayed as long as I did, but I was proud that I left. After the dinner, things didn't explode. They rotted quietly. Marisol sent one last message. We lost you, but we'll always be family. Hope you come back someday. Back to what? The group chat that erased my name? The table where I paid but never had a plate? I deleted the thread. In my world, she stopped existing. My mother didn't message again. She sent Sam, an old family friend. He leaned on the fence one afternoon, handed me another pie. She's sorry, he said gently. If she didn't know it hurt, I replied, she never saw me. Sam nodded. Didn't argue. He took the pie back with him. Even he understood that pride doesn't mix with pie. Then my father tried once more, another letter, louder this time. I laughed again. Sent it straight to my lawyer. Want to shut this down? He asked. It already is, I said. Because I'd taken everything they feared losing. Attention, access, audience. And I kept living. No drama. No posts. Just compost. Chickens. Trees growing taller. Peace returning in small, stubborn ways. I changed my number. Not from fear. From completion. I crushed the old SIM card with a hammer and threw it in the scrap bin. Gave the new number to 5 people. None shared my last name. One afternoon, a little girl came by with her grandfather. She watched me unload crates and asked, innocent and curious, why doesn't your family help you? He hushed her, embarrassed. I smiled. Some people plant weeds and call them roses, I said. Here, we only grow what feeds us back. She grinned. He nodded. And me? I stood taller than I ever had. Not the family disappointment. Not the farm girl they laughed at. Just Amber Flores. A woman with no ghosts in her fields. Only crops. Only peace. Only what I chose to grow. They taught me love was currency. I stopped paying. And I sleep just fine.